And here we go then, folks. We've got another Marvel Legends retro card-backed figure to unbox and review on the Mod Extra Games and Collectibles channel today. You can see here it's the Dark Phoenix from the most recent Uncanny X-Men wave that they have released. It has been relentless the last few weeks. Just delivery driver after delivery driver. Here's a box for you, Chris. Here's a box for you, Chris. Here's a box for you, Chris. Very happy to have yet another X-Men villain. The X-Men villains are getting quite the boost in my collection of late. The retro cardback line seems to be where it is at for X-Men related stuff at the minute, because we've had Apocalypse, Beast, this Dark Phoenix, and the others that are in this range, which are on the back of this card, and loads that have been leaked and spoiled for the coming year as well. So the X-Men are going strong. They must just be good money earners for Hasbro over there. That doesn't bother me. Whatever. I missed the Dark Phoenix the first time around because Marvel Legends have already really hit full pace this year. So very pleased to have not just a Dark Phoenix, but a new improved Dark Phoenix with the double joints and the pinless and all that magic stuff. Is it pinless? Yeah, it is pinless, isn't it? Yeah. So here's the packaging. We get great artwork, fantastic picture of the Phoenix there. I love these very dynamic, energetic shots that they have on the boxes. Just really has shelf presence and sells the figure. Bit of flavor text here. Phoenix Flame! Exclamation mark. Not quite as random as some of the ones we've seen in the past. And then, of course, you can see the figure in the blister pack on the front here with all the accessories. And in the top corner here, the classic Marvel Comics kind of top left logo thing, but without the heads. Got just the Phoenix symbol this time. So that's the front. Then on the back, we've got screenshots of all the other figures that are available in this Uncanny X-Men retro cardback wave. The blue and yellow Wolverine, obviously the Dark Phoenix, Longshot, Multiple Man, Marvel's Avalanche, and Marvel's Spiral. All the legal bollocks and malarkey down here. These crappy black and white line drawings which just need binning off because that's a waste of space in there. Some more flavor text here. Overwhelmed by the power of the cosmic Phoenix entity, Jean Grey gives in to the being's destructive tendencies. Short and to the point, that one. That flavor text is available in lots of different languages. More info, and that's it. It's a retro card back, so you know you just got the card back. There's no fronts and sides and stuff to engage with more than that. So let's get Dark Phoenix open. I'm going to pop my thumb in there and try and peel the card back. Oh, no, that wasn't a clean one. Oh, paperwork. Yeah, not my best peeling work there. Usually do better than that, but we can slide the blister pack out like so. And here we go. Here's the figure in the blister pack. We've got two swappable hands that are taped in. Can I get them out without having to engage with the tape? Oh, yes, I can. Perfect. So one open palm hand and two open palm hands. Then a kind of Phoenix Flame. A little bit of flourish there for the arm, maybe. That looks like the arm. I'll investigate that further in a minute. And then the figure itself. Out you come, Jean. Come on. There we go. Oh, your hair's all like tightly packed in. And there we go. One Dark Phoenix figure and accessories. Great. So I'm going to go away and get some hands-on time with this figure. I've got some photographs in mind, actually, for this one. So I'm going to go away, get her in the light box, do some pictures, pose her up, just generally get my adult-child playtime in, get all nostalgic about my love of the X-Men comics from the 80s and 90s. And then I'll be back in a couple of days, once I've really engaged with the figure, to share some of my review thoughts. So stick around, folks. That's the unboxing done. I'm now going to let you know what I think of her. And here she is. Here is the Dark Phoenix figure out of packet. As promised, I've been away, had a bit of a play, been posing her up, taken some photos, had her out on display, and now I've had some hands-on time. I'm back and ready to share some review thoughts. So quickly, for any new folks around here who are happening across this video for the very first time, a Mod Extra Games and Collectibles review section of the video takes place in 3 parts. The first part is the aesthetic. We're going to talk about how the figure looks. Let's talk about Dark Phoenix as a visual experience in our action figure adult child playtime. Then I'm going to move on to the second A, which is the articulation. How does she move? How poseable is she? Can I get her into the types of stances and poses that I want to take photographs with and make interesting displays? And then third and finally, we're going to do accessories and added value. What are the extras that have been chucked in with this figure to make it worth our money? And with all that said and done, I'll have shared my thoughts and you will hopefully have some good information if you're thinking about picking up a Dark Phoenix figure of your own to make your mind up. So let's not hang around, let's get into it, and let's get started by talking about Dark Phoenix's aesthetic. So one of the most striking aesthetic elements of this figure is the head sculpt and the hair. It stands out, you just can't not look at it, and in fact, it's so eye-catching that you sometimes don't notice some of the other bits that are going on aesthetically with the figure because the head's just got it all going on. Starting with the face itself, this is getting better. It's certainly not quite the Marvel Legends expressionless kind of nondescript thing that they've been doing with their figures of late. You can see that there's a little bit of a facial expression going on. Is that facial expression saying to me cosmic destroying entity? Yeah, maybe. The teeth are a bit gritted, I suppose. But it's better than what we normally get with Marvel Legends. Most of their figures look like they're just bored out their brains. You know what I mean? Just nothing going on. Oh, I'm in a fight. Oh, there's interesting stuff going on. Oh, there's a big cosmic battle. You know what I mean? At least this has got a little bit of something going on. And it's a very neat and tidy piece of work. The paint apps on the lips, on the teeth, on the eyes are great. The eyes are obviously all white there to be that sort of cosmic power glow thing, and then she's got the dark effect around the eyes. What's really standing out though is the hair. The hair is incredibly well sculpted and it's got a wonderful wash on it to give it loads of texture and depth. If I turn it to this side here, you can see it especially. Look at the wash along that and all the sculpted detail. It's wonderful. Goes all the way down the back too. Yeah, look at all that. That's just really lively, really energetic, very dynamic element of sculpting that gives the figure lots of life and, as I say all the time, helps me tell the story with my figures. Got a bit of a narrative to it because it's wild and uncontrolled and just really says to me visually that she's surrounded by these swathes of wild cosmic energy as the Phoenix Force inside her tries to push its way out. So yeah, the head sculpt is really top-notch and adds to the action figure experience visually a great deal. It's just kind of a shame the rest of the figure doesn't live up to the promise of the head. Yeah, from the neck down, it's just super plastic. It's super plastic toy. And perhaps jarringly so when you look at the quality of the paint app and the work that's going on in the head sculpt, and particularly the hair there. That's okay, I suppose, to some degree. I mean, after all, it is actually a plastic action figure toy, so you have to give it, you know, some leeway there. But I would have liked a little bit more going on in the kind of paint colours here, with the arms and the legs. Are these, I was trying to remember, I should have looked at a picture before I started recording. Are these actually boots? I feel like maybe these were boots rather than just a painted-in pattern, or I suppose a sewn-in pattern on the outfit. I don't know, but I'll go back and check in a bit, but I don't know. Yeah, it just seems, I mean, it's got the yellow, it's got the red, it's a good shade of red. I'll tell you one thing that stands out. The Phoenix symbol on the chest here is a decal, and you can see the lines where it's been applied, and the red on just on the little bits that have been untidily cut around the yellow pattern is slightly different to the red on the rest of it. And as they've been putting it on, there's a little kind of scratch mark in here, so it really stands out that it's just been an applied decal across the top of the chest there, which, I don't know, looks a bit cheap. You know what I mean? Looks a bit cheap. Why couldn't that have been sculpted on? I mean, they've started sculpting stuff onto the figures altogether, so yeah, I don't know. We've got the sash belt here. This is good. Again, it's got some dynamic energy, some movement to it. As you can see, the way it's sort of flapping around across the top of her right leg there. The little Phoenix symbol just at the top on the clasp is nice, fairly neatly painted, actually, for Marvel Legends. A little gold piece there just to break it up a bit and to, you know, obviously make it more of a practical reality. This is loose as well, so it's got a bit of movement in it, but because of the nature of the way that this is sort of flapping around down here, I mean, there's only really one way that you would have it on her anyway, but it's, yeah, it's a loose piece over the top. But it definitely adds to the kind of framing of the figure with the yellow arms, the yellow legs, you know, it just gives it a bit of balance, which is nice. A little something aesthetically that's been bothering me since I had the figure a couple of days ago is this gap at the back here. See how the hair, it's because of the way it's all sort of sculpted down the back here. If you bring the hair flat to the back, there's this weird gap. And it means through the gap you can see the hinge into the bell at the top of the head there. And I'm not a fan of that. So in some of the photos I've been taking, when I've had it posed and the pictures sort of been from the side, the hair doesn't quite look right, and you can see the hinge, and that's bugged me a little bit. It's been a little while as well since I've had a Marvel Legends without any QC issues, so I suppose I was due my time. We can see a little yellow paint splodge at the top of the arm here. Then there's some marks and scratches. I don't know if you can see them on camera, but they're just here where the top of the leg meets the groin joint there, and some knocks and chips at the top of the thigh cut. And while I'm on the thigh cut as well, just as you turn the thigh, you can see the yellow plastic piece underneath where they painted the red over top. So again, when I've been taking some of the photos and I've had her legs, you know, she's been standing ready for action. When I've spun the thigh, there's this little flick of yellow that you can see that has stood out to me and bothered me a little bit. But yeah, you know, it was only a matter of time. I've done 4 figures, maybe 3, without a QC issue, so that was about due. So overall, aesthetically, it's okay. It's decent. It's solid, but it's not where it should be, really. The head sculpt and the hair situation sells a promise that you don't really get upon further inspection and deeper engagement with the rest of the figure. The hair and the face is such a striking shelf presence and so well done that when you kind of then engage a little bit more with what is the kind of cheaper looking and feeling rest of the situation, you kind of then start feeling a bit let down, especially, again, and I know I keep banging on about it, and many others do too, about the price that they're now charging for these comparable. It just isn't quite stepping up the game. I'd love to see the Marvel Legends team just put like 5 or 10% more effort in just to bring these figures a little bit more to life, give them a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth, and enhance my action figure experience through that, especially when I know it can be done. I've seen it, you know. Black Series and Marvel Legends have a much deeper layer of detail, much more texture when it comes to the clothing. I've seen McFarlane Toys do it, and they do it for like £5 less a figure. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it just looks and feels just kind of plain and plasticky. It's not even much effort gone into the sculpting of the musculature or to give it some texture in the outfit, or, I mean, even just some better sculpted details. I'm going to go away and have a look at some pictures now, because I'm pretty sure these are gloves and these are boots, and they're just, you know, sculpted piece of plastic, painted a bit of red on there, done. Just feels, you know, like the effort that should be there isn't there. So yeah, it's kind of in the middle here. I like the figure. I'm glad to have one in my collection. I'm glad to have such an iconic X-Men villain, and I have taken some really interesting and exciting photos with her. But she's just too much on the side of cheap-looking action figure, even though she's not cheap, you know. So there we go. That's the aesthetic. Let's talk a little bit now about the articulation. Starting above the shoulders then, and while the articulation's there, the issue here really is the hair. It obstructs a lot of the movement that you might want to do with the head. So while there's a bell at the top with a hinge in there, your up is limited, your down is limited because we've got this front bit coming down across the shoulder here. Your side that way is then affected, you know, she ends up looking a bit at an angle, and then your side that way is affected by the hair falling down. So while it's there, it's not great. Oh, there's a bit of tilt. There you go, confused dog look. Huh? Then the shoulders, they're on a hinge. You can get them out to a T. There's no butterfly joint, and then you've got the swivel at the bicep and tricep, and a double elbow in her that gets up to there. The hands are the standard peg joint with a hinge in them. The hinge goes forward and back like so, and that's the same on both sides. Then we've got a point of articulation here at the bottom of the chest that gives you a bit of swivel to the left and right, and some crunch forward and back. No waist swivel though. Then the standard Marvel Legends joint in the hips there as well, so you can get your legs out like this and forward like that. Not so good on the back because of the mould of the arse curve, same as usual. Thigh cut at the top of the thigh, double knee up to there, and then the hinge and rocker in the feet as standard. One thing with the articulation, as is often the case, folks, with these female Marvel Legends figures, is that she's not a great stander. You really got to do a lot of work sort of with the thigh cut and the ankles to kind of get her nice and balanced up so that she is standing in the pose that you're looking for. I also think that all this wild hair, it makes her quite top heavy, and I find her toppling backwards a lot, which has been a bit of a pain. But what that has meant is that it's limited, it's restricted somewhat some of the poses that I've tried to get it into, because the positioning of the legs have to be just so in order to make her stand. So, or, you know, if you knock her over with your finger like that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the positioning of the legs have to be just so, and sometimes what you end up with then is like a bit of an uncanny pose, like she doesn't feel like she's standing naturally, like she's standing a bit unnaturally, a bit uncanny to the eye, and also not in the position that I actually wanted her in when I started setting up the photo or started putting her in display. So something of note there. So the articulation is what it is. It's standard Marvel Legends fare. I suppose at least we've got the double elbow joints and the pinless, which adds to the visual aesthetic of the figure and does open up the options further. I just think the Marvel Legends is lagging a little bit behind in comparison to kind of all the stuff that's going on with female figures at the moment. In particular, G.I. Joe Classified series. I've had this, what, a week and a half after I got my Zorana, and Zorana is just really super impressive when it comes to articulation and in terms of, you know, detail and texture and quality and the aesthetic, just to circle back round to that bugbear. So yeah, it's all right. It gets a thumbs up because it's up to Marvel Legends standard, and there's lots of possibilities. I've managed to have her into some interesting stuff, but I don't know, they're just not quite pinning it down yet. I still think there's some engineering hurdles that they need to get over when it comes to female figures in Marvel Legends. Okay, well, let's talk about the accessories and the added value now then. And first up, we've got a couple of swappable hands here, one for the left and one for the right. They're both kind of open palm hands. Once again, we've got that Marvel Legends issue where the fingers look a bit kind of weirdly long and spindly, particularly on the female figures. I don't know what that's all about, but it's actually not too bad with Dark Phoenix. I've seen worse. They look pretty decent, but once you notice that they look a bit long and spindly, you can't take your eyes off it. The thumb on this hand in particular seems very oddly long and misshapen. I can't figure that out. So there you go. But as an overall aesthetic quality, they can give you a few more options, make it look like she's about to, you know, melt someone or, you know, eat an entire planet, whatever. And then we have this translucent Phoenix flame effect piece here. This is really quite cool, actually. So you can see the shape of the Phoenix bird in there at the front, and then these big flamey wings. It's a mixture of a kind of light orange and a darker reddy orange at the top here, which has got a nice kind of blend as it transforms from the lighter colour to the darker colour, which is sweet. And then, some yellow tips right at the end of the Phoenix's tail there, which is sweet. Very nicely sculpted, lots of lovely details. Shiny little eye in there too. I like that. That's nice. Little drop of a paint app in there to give it even more character. And this, I believe, fits on her arm. Something like that, maybe, I think. I did have to pop the hand off to pop that on there like that, but this little tail swirl at the bottom and the gap between the main body of the bird and the tail swirl looks just right for an arm like so, so I believe that's the intended use. That's certainly how I've been using it, but that looks kind of cool, although it does, I don't know, it's a bit of an odd one for posing, how you might want to have her using that power. And it's a bit of a fiddle and a faff, but kind of a cool addition nonetheless. And that's it. That's your accessory selection. 2 hands, 1 for each arm, and the Flaming Phoenix. And I don't know, just once again, it just feels like I'm getting cheaped out. I don't understand how one figure like Spiral can come with 4 swords, or 5 swords, an axe, you know, and then this Phoenix comes with 2 hands and a little plastic energy effect that I'm probably not going to use a great deal anyway. It just seems back to front and upside down to me, once again, especially when you consider the way the prices have increased. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of fun, and I took some photos with it, but I can't see it coming out of the the bits box all that often, to be honest. So very limited in terms of accessories. The open palm hands help with some of the storytelling that you might want to do with your displays and your photographs. But outside of that, that's your lot. Comparison time now then, folks, and here is the Dark Phoenix with the new VHS animated series cel-shaded Cyclops. Yes, I know that's not the uniform Cyclops was wearing in the original Dark Phoenix saga, but it's the only Cyclops I've got, so I dug this one out and popped him next to her. The more accurate one would be the all blue with yellow trunks and the overhead head mask thing, sock. That he wears on his head. But still, it gives you a sense of the kind of size, shape, and physique of the new book, the new male book, next to this newer female book on the left-hand side there with Dark Phoenix. And it also demonstrates how the two fit together, the cel shading and the non-cel shaded kind of X-Men related figures. You can't really see it on camera, I don't think, under the lights, but the more matte nature of the plastic on Cyclops really stands out against the much more plasticky nature of the figure on Dark Phoenix. Really stands out. And just incidentally, I had a quick peek at in my graphic novel, and these were definitely boots. They were definitely boots, and so we can see how they can kind of sculpt on pieces now with this Cyclops, but they just ain't bothering with Dark Phoenix. Lazy, innit? Here's Dark Phoenix with one of my absolute favourite retro-carded X-Men figures. It's the Rogue here from, I don't know, not last year. Last year, maybe? Anyway, that's by the by. But yeah, you could also see, I suppose, how a little bit more effort can bring the figure to more life and apply more texture and depth. And aside from the leather jacket, because obviously Dark Phoenix didn't wear a jacket, you can see how the boots, although they are a bit fiddly and annoying, are a little bit more striking, a little bit more characterful, and a little bit more realistic by comparison. But it gives you a sense of the height difference, and you can kind of see, I don't know, I kind of like Rogue's head sculpt, but it's definitely expressionless, isn't it? Oh, and here's a blast from the past. I was doing a bit of digging through the X-Men box, and I dug out my Maverick. Look at that for a much older figure, much older book, but again, just to give you a demonstration of the kind of size and shape and dimensions. But yeah, a much older figure there, but I forgot I had him. He's super cool. I'm going to do some photos with him and my Wolverine, I reckon. And finally, a comparison here with the new retro-carded Spiral, because, spoiler alert, guess who came in the post in the same package? Review coming soon. And here we go then, folks. Here is the Dark Phoenix in the pose that I've had her on the shelf. I keep knocking the table, so she's wibbly-wobbling about. Yes, I've put her on a flight stand. I feel like this is the most appropriate way to pose up this figure in amongst my X-Men collection. I'm going to try and find some other type of flame effects maybe to pop on there, but it is definitely a very striking shelf presence, and despite all my complaints, she does look really good on the flight stand, doesn't she? Let's face facts. Definitely got something going on there. It's such a shame, really. This whole plasticky look and feel is... It's gone. It's done. It should be done by now. It's nearly 2023 and they're still kind of churning stuff out. I threw Spiral into the figure comparison there right at the end, and she's just a great example of how there's a less plasticky sheen, less plasticky look and feel, and more kind of texture to the design of the figure's uniform. You know, these kind of spandex gear that they wear. That this one just doesn't have. It's like it's 2 or 3 years ago. It's very, very frustrating. So I don't know what else to say, really. I should just stop buying the figures, shouldn't I? Rather than buying them and going on camera and whinging about them looking plastic. But I live in hope. I'm an optimist. What can I say? I'm always hoping that the next one will be the one to fill that void and satisfy my desires and expectations. Although, I've got to tell you, again, spoiler alert, Spiral's pretty damn close. So there we are. There's Dark Phoenix for you. Hopefully my thoughts have helped you make your mind up about whether this is a figure that you want to pick up for yourself. If you've enjoyed the video, then give us a thumbs up, like down, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I've been Chris. This is Mod Extra Games and Collectibles, and I hope you have a tremendous day. See you later, folks.